Alrighty, so a little bit more positive outlook today as I play around with the build box settings. It looks like if I just, there are so many of those templates for games in build box. I think what there were like 1, 2, 3. There might even be 6, 12. There may be like 20 of them. I'm not even sure. It just feels like there are an absolute boatload of them in there. And when looking through them, you try to find the one that makes the most sense, and then you try to play with it. And I'm like, I should have just gone back through. I think for, yeah, like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to get the camera to point at the screen here. Don't mind the mess. So that's over there. You can't see it very well. That's probably for the best. If you saw it very well, it would freak out this camera, and then it would just fail. But so I've been playing with that a little bit, getting a sense of where that's going. I think dialing it back a little bit is what I need to be doing. I always tend to make these projects pretty ambitious, and the way I'm looking at it right now is if I just try not to be so ambitious with the first run of the game, I can always upgrade later or do a version 2.0 or a sequel or something like that. So yeah, anyway, playing around, yeah, still dealing with the carbohydrate brain. It's a little all over the place right now. Slow down. Calm down. Breathe deep. All right, so playing with BuildBox today, I got to a point where I realized I should just go back out and open a test game in each of the different formats of template that they have, and give each of them at least a little test out to see what could be done with the character, how the screen moves, how the character interacts, and then see if those can be adapted to what I need to do. So the one I did the most dabbling with was trying to see what I could find to work for Cuttle Pop. And what I was finding as I was, wow, we're only 3 minutes in. I'm running on a carbohydrate high, so I might be buzzing through at a rapid speed here. But Cuttle Pop, there were a couple game types. There's one, I'm still going back and forth on whether or not it makes sense to get some of the scroll left to right games and reorient the motion of action to be vertical. Because I guess there are ways you can do that where I could take their Flappy Bird template, which is start on the side and you're flapping to keep afloat and you're scrolling on the side. I could take that same model, orient the course moving vertically, have the character flap, move forward on the screen or up on the screen, and gravity still pulled down. I don't know if I could orient it in such a way that I could tap this side to flap up this way, tap this side to flap up this way, and tap right on the character to go straight up, or tap in front of the character to go straight up, tap the character to do ink cloud. That might be the one that makes the most sense if I can orient a game like Flappy Birds that way. They do have some vertically oriented ones. They have what's the one I was playing with most? I think there's like a tower something or other, tower hop or something like that. And that one is very close to what I want to do. It basically has these spiked projections that come off that would be perfect matches for the coral reef, that you would bump into and it would kill you. Well, not kill you, but stun you and delay your time or make you fall off the bottom of the screen. And the screen scrolls so that you're moving forward on your track. I mean, so that tracks well. And you tap, and the character, in this case, hops through the air. You don't have to land on a platform to hop. If you just keep tapping, it'll hop in air and just keep going up. So that works. The weird thing about this one is the character automatically bounces back and forth, left to right, and timing your hopping is how you decide what direction the character's going in. I don't know that I want to do it that way, but it's possible that setting the mechanics for the game to do that may actually work just fine. It's not what I set out to do, and I'm not sure that's the way I want it to work. But if it's the one that works best, I may just go with it. Yeah, I'm not sure about that. I have to figure some of that out. Like I said, I could potentially reorient some of those sideways games to be vertical games and still have the fall of gravity be beneath you so that if you stop swimming, you'll sink. Change the bounce of the hop motion so that it's not as jerky and instead a little more smooth, to be a little more like swimming. I should be able to get that to work. I'm not sure. There's also a vertical tower one where you try to hop to keep ahead of closing in sides, and it's like a tower trap or something like that. That's not quite what I want to do, but I might want to see if I can figure out how to do some of that for... I mean, the equivalent in Mario would be those stupid flowers that come up out of the pipe and can get you if you're not careful. This would, for Cuttle Pop, the equivalent would be something like a moray eel or something coming out. But I don't want them to attack. I just want them to catch you and hold you just long enough to delay you. Maybe just like seaweed. Actually, that would be interesting to do something like seaweed that's just drifting for a second, but have occasional sideways tides that cause them to come out and tangle, and at the same time have the tides sort of push you directionally. So you have to wrestle against the tide shifting you. That might be something to play with as I've developed the mechanics further. Set up treasure chests as coins or power. I might do them as power-ups. Something to that effect. And that way you can get costumes and instruments. And you can collect your bandmates and avoid the paparazzi. So I mean, I think I've got a lot of that worked out. Now, I was originally going to buy costumes for the characters and have like a paper doll screen. it may just make more sense to just not try to make that happen in this game. Maybe release a paper doll set for a downloadable content or something like that. So like a activity book or something like that. So it doesn't have to happen in the game. But I mean, if it doesn't happen in the game, that's a risk of. It's not really a risk. It doesn't bother me that much. It's a situation in which you're getting rid of the in-app purchases, which is fine. I don't need to do that for the game, and that was just an interesting idea later on. The game free-to-play versus ad-free by the ad-free feature. Maybe that's the way I'll go with this. I don't know. I'll think about it. I really want this to be a game that can be fun and enjoyable, and just like a game you can play as a fidgety game. It's not, you're not doing it for the deep storyline, and you're not doing it because of the epic gameplay or the unlockable content or any of that. It's really supposed to be just a fun little game that you can play as an activity to fiddle with when you have some spare time, and with the bonus feature of potentially some of the funds for the game go to benefit ocean cleanup and coral reef recovery. That's the goal with this game. But I want it to be enjoyable enough that it's not like those after-school specials where, like, these are not fun things to watch. They are shoehorning in some public service announcement or educational content. Like, that's the thing I've always sort of been frustrated with. Educational games are never fun games, and fun games are rarely educational. And so I want to sort of, I don't want this to be a game that's not fun to play, that has a gimmick to benefit something positive. And I don't want this to be a game that's fun to play but doesn't do any good to the world. So I want to be able to find that sweet spot in the middle between those two things. And I may just have to accept the fact that, maybe I produce the game and maybe it only generates $100 for charity. That's fine. That's okay. It's not that big a deal. It's the thought that hopefully counts for something. I think I'm also going to have to see, I could try to do it myself. It's an art style I'm not used to doing, but I could try to do the visual arts for it in a way that make the game somewhat more appealing. And I could probably do an advertising campaign for it at some point. Like maybe just put an ad in front of some YouTube, Google Ads, and do an ad for it for a week or so. And see if I can get it in front of... what kind of content should I put it in front of? That's the question. If I were to do that, like I could put it in front of some gaming content, but like hardcore gamers, that's not what this game is targeted towards. Dare I target it at children? I mean, it's very G-rated. I might do it like a children's ad. And then science or environmental content, maybe. That's a tricky one. I may have to actually ask around and see what some other people think. And like, how much do I want to sink into advertising for it? Probably not a lot. I could do some publicity stuff for some of the free publicity stuff. I could go on Reddit and talk about the game I'm working on and get some interest from some of the people who are into those sorts of topics. So I think there's some potential to make it work there. The Liquid Metal Rage, I think I'll have to look again at the different templates, but it looks like the landscape default is probably the one that makes the most sense. And then build the mazes that you have to travel through. Not sure. I'd have to really look again. I think I was making the wrong choices early on when I was trying some things out. I think there might be something that works better, but it's set up in a way that I think that's not what I need. Like, there's one that's a race car game where it's a road and there are other cars on the road and you're just sort of trying to weave your way between those cars and get ahead of them all. And I feel like that might be something you could do. And then there's like a clear the level, which looks like a cross between the race car and a Pac-Man almost. Ooh. That gives me some thoughts about things I could potentially play with for that. Like, if I did the Pac-Man one, you have to accumulate a certain number of the pellets before you can liquefy. But getting more of the pellets means you get yourself into precarious positions you have to get back out of before the screen scrolls too far up. That could be something. Interesting. I'll have to think about that. And I'm still kind of playing around in my mind with the puzzle game that I came up with earlier in the week. I almost said month. It feels like it's been a bloody month. Doing a little too much all at once. I do think I can make that game an interesting, fun, playable version of the Pick 3 style games. I think I probably will want to kind of construct a whole alphabet for it. Actually, I was doing something not that long ago. Well, actually, it was pretty long ago. A few years ago, where I came up with, there's a certain number of shapes that are arrangeable. It's complicated, but it turns out it's a neat little mathematical trick that gets you a set number of shapes using 4 blocks, I think it was. And those shapes are, I was using them as the shapes by which I would construct letters in a fictional alphabet that would form, like, stacking the letters together in a certain way would spell words in a single block of image. That is a neat little trick that I was playing with. At any rate, I think it was 7 to 9 symbols that you could have. And having those 7 to 9 symbols be the equivalent of a set of runes and assign them a given meaning or sets of meanings, so that when you stack them like a bind rune, then you can construct a recipe for an ability that you can use to clear the map. I might go back and look and see about what I did with that. It's not a bad way to approach it. All right, so that's sort of where we are at the end of this this week of game construction adventure. I will, like with all the projects that I'm working on right now, there will be a future update as to approaching completion kind of thing. As we stand right now, I'm going to do, I found some of my old videos on video game reviews that I never edited any of them and posted. So I'm going to do some of that, post that tonight. And then I think I'm doing the exercise routine, health and well-being episode for tomorrow, or at least before Wednesday. And then tomorrow, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday will be both video creation videos and writing videos. So 2 lives per day. I think I'm going to stick to the 8 p.m. and 10:30 p.m. time frame for those. And then the first 3 days of August are going to be recipes, I hope. I have a few things I have to get squared away before I'm actually able to even do any of that right now. But I think that's where I'm going to kind of call it for tonight. I mean, I don't have more I can show without the issues with the internet and the signal going out. So I think call it there. And I will keep appraised as to how this project's going. Because I think more than any of the other games that I've developed for the computer, I like the concept of Cuttle Pop enough that I want to see that to fruition and to share it when I'm done. Like the other ones, the zombie game, the presents, the Slime Boy, Captain Mr. Space Ninja, that one takes its time. I'll get there eventually. That probably won't be done by the end of the, well, it might be done by the end of the year. But even if it's not, I'm not hurt by that. But I want to see what I can do with Cuttle Pop. Alrighty, so call it there. Thanks for watching. I will see you for the next video.